Okay, we continue on the dimensional analysis. So this is more related to a parametric study for those who are carry out for parametric study. Okay, so you can make use of this what we call as dimensional analysis. Okay, so dimensional analysis is a method for deducing elements of the form of a theoretical relationship from consideration of the variable and parameter that make up that relationship. Okay, so the idea is we want to get to determine what is the important parameter, okay, which is related to the problems. Okay, dimension analysis of a problem then leads to a reduction in the number of variables that must be studied in order to understand the problems. Okay, so once we already know what is the important parameter, okay, so then due to the time limit, okay, time constraint, and we want to focus on one or two parameter, so later on we can reduce the number of the parameter that we want to investigate. Okay, so the key is to create dimensionally homogeneous equation whose form does not depends on the units of measurement. Okay, so for example, when we deal with a stress, okay, so the stress, the value is kilonewton per meter square. Okay, sorry, I have a call. Okay, wait minutes. Okay. Oh, okay, for example, for stress, okay, so we have a kilonewton per meter square, okay. So in order for us to make a dimensionless equation, okay, so then we may divide with the, for example, with the source property of strength, okay. So for example, the stress is the result from the ultimate value, okay. So we divide with the strength of the soil, which is kilonewton per meter square, okay. At the end, we may have what we call as, for example, bearing capacity factor. Okay, so the factor means that it doesn't have any units. Okay, okay. So we may discuss later on the benefit of this dimensional analysis. Okay. Okay. So governing equation cannot just be plugged from the air. They must come from an underlying insight into the phenomenon that is being modeled. Okay. So we need to have a very good understanding on the background of the problems by referring to the theoretical knowledge. Okay. The theory of dimensional analysis is encapsulated in the Buckingham theorems. Okay. So the Buckingham 5 theorem states that if there are n variable, okay, the n is the number of the what we call is the number of the parameter. Okay. For example, if it has 6 parameter, so n is 6, include the input and also the output. Okay, is a problem, and this variable contain m primary dimension, which is MLT. Okay, so this MLT actually obtained from the second Newton law. Okay, we may discuss later. The equation related all these variable will have n minus m. Okay, a dimensionless group. Okay, so to count how many dimensionless group that we should derive, okay, is by referring to the n. For example, if n is equal to 6, okay, then m is equal to 2, okay, so 6 minus with 2, it will become 4. Okay? So we need to derive 4-dimensionless equations. Okay? So Buckingham refer to this group as 5 groups. Okay? The 5 groups must be independent of each other, and no one group should be formed by multiplying together power of other groups. Okay? However, okay, for example, if we want to complete for the last groups or the last parameter or the last dimensionless, okay, parameter, okay, okay, so we can use, okay, any other parameter, okay. We can use any other parameter, okay, in order to complete, for example, 4-dimensionless equation. Okay, okay. I will explain in the example later. Okay, so this method offers the advantage of being more simple than the method of solving simultaneous equation for obtaining the values of the indice, okay, the exponent variable of the variable. Okay. So this method is more advantage and more simple, okay, compared to the other methods they call as simultaneous equation. Okay, okay, for alternative. Okay, in this method of solving, there are two conditions. Okay, each of the fundamental dimension must appear in at least one of the m variable. Okay, so it must not be possible to form a dimensionless group from one of the variable within a recurring set. Okay, so so for sorry. So for the m, okay, for the fundamental dimension, okay, we should count as one. Okay, for example, if we have four parameter, okay, so for each parameter it contain several fundamental dimension. Okay, so then we count as a one. Okay, for example, for the first equation, it has geometry, which is L, and then for the second parameter, it has force, okay, which is F L power by -2. Okay, sorry, stress, not force. Okay, and then the last one might be, it also has a geometry, so L. Okay, so then the number of the m is represent as 2. Okay, because we only count how many it appear. For example, 1, 2. Okay, so we cannot count as a 4, although it's appear 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we count as a 2. Okay, so okay, so that is for the m. Okay, then it's not possible to form a dimension from one of the variable within a recurring set. Okay, so we will not repeat using the same parameter. Okay, other uh, beyond we cannot sorry okay, sorry, I have a call. Wait a minute. Okay. Sorry, the B is it is not allowed to uh, reuse again, okay, the parameter, okay, for the next groups or for the next dimensionless value, okay, unless if we are not use that parameter, we cannot complete for the whole dimensionless equation, okay. So for that case, it is allowable, okay. So fundamental quantity must commonly employ based on Newton's second law, which states that the rate of change in momentum of a body is proportional to the applied force. Okay, so this gives uh, the formula uh, for the F force equal to mass times velocity, okay, or we heard F m time a, okay. So from this F m a, okay, when we derive it, okay, we may obtain this equation, okay. We have F here, okay, then we have m, which is considered as the geometry. Okay, for the acceleration, we have L, okay, and then we also have, sorry, this is not geometry, this is mass, okay. This is length, okay, and then we have the times, okay, power by -2, okay. So then we have the force, okay, then we have m, mass, we have L, length, then the next one we have E times, okay. So L is geometry, okay, and time is kinematic, okay, while FML, FMN, they consider as a dynamic, okay. Okay, so in that case, okay, you have two groups of what we call as primary dimension, okay. Either you want to use MLT, okay, because M and F is considered under dynamic, okay, or you want to use FLT, okay. So, however, in this work, since mass is the fundamental physical quantity, okay, the latter are employed in deriving the dimensionless value of the equation, okay. So the FLT is suitable to be used, okay, especially for the study related to force. Okay, so for me, I'm prefer to use FLT rather than NLT. Okay, as been suggested by the author as well. Okay, so selection of the relevant independent parameter can be quite difficult. The resolution of relate problem require sufficient experience. Okay, so for example, it may depends on your interest. Okay, for example, if you want to look more on parameter A, okay, so most of your equation have the A parameter, okay. For example, if you want to look more on the B parameter, so some of your equation have a B parameter, okay. So it depends on your intention. Okay, dimensional analysis associated with Buckingham Phi theorem provide useful hint in determining the various factors that involved in the analysis and the relevant data to be collected. Okay. So now we look on some example, but this example is more related to the geotechnical engineering problems. Okay. So for this one, okay, for example, the factor safety Fs of a slope formed in purely cohesive soil. Okay. So there we have Cu, which is the what we call as the undrained shear strength. Okay, then we have here rho. So we have gamma, which is called as unit weight, okay, of the soil. Okay. Then we have theta. Okay, we have height. We have d. Okay. So altogether we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 input. Okay. And definitely the outcome is the factor of safety. Okay. So when we count the number of the parameter, okay, we have here 6n number. Okay. So for each parameter, okay, we need to derive the primary dimension. Okay. So for example, for the Fs is the factor and it doesn't have any what we call as units, okay, or primary dimension. So we consider as a 1. Okay. Then we have here H, okay, which is H is the geometry. So H we consider as L, while theta doesn't have any units because it is an angle. So we consider as 1. Cu is the strength. Okay. So it is related to kilopascal. Okay. So from the strength, okay, kilonewton per meter square. So the primary dimension is F times L power by -2. Okay. Then we have a unit weight there. Okay. For the unit weight, F multiply with L power by -3. Okay. The last one is D, which is the geometry. The geometry is equal to L. Okay. So when we count the number of the primary dimension, okay, as I stressed before, okay, so we need to consider for ones only, okay. For example, L, okay, then we have F. So the maximum, the M can go up to 3. In this case, we doesn't have any T, so the M is equal to 2. Okay, so 6 minus with 2, it become 4. Okay, so we need to create 4 dimensionless equation. Okay, so to make it easy, okay, first we count for the dimensionless or the for the non-dimensional equation. Okay, definitely the Fs and also the theta. Okay, so the theta here 1, Fs 2. So the remaining number of the prime of the dimensionless equation is 2. Okay. So then we may create for the other one, which is the easy one is D and H. Okay. So D over H will be the third one. Okay. So the remaining is Cu and gamma. Okay. So how to solve Cu and gamma? Okay. So we need to use either H or D. Okay. In that case, it is allowed for us to use the parameter that has been used before. Okay. So if our intention is to study on the H, okay, so we may include H in the last equation. Okay. So the Cu over gamma, okay, then multiply with H. So we have the last dimensionless equation. Okay. So for example, F L power by -2. Okay. Then it may divide with the F L power by -3. Okay. So we can eliminate F. Okay. However, we cannot eliminate L power by -2 with L power by -3 unless if we multiply with another one. Okay. So then when we multiply with the H, So we can gain L power by -2, okay, and later on L power -2 divide with L power -2. So then we obtain dimensionless equation. Okay. So what is the benefit of this approach? Okay. So later on, Taylor, okay, we call it as a Taylor. Taylor has proposed this design chart. We call as a Taylor design chart. Okay, to predict the stability of the slope. Okay, um, without using any numerical or equations. Okay, so we call it as a preliminary design chart. Okay, so this design chart is a dimensionless. Okay, because D over H, Cu over gamma H, and theta is what we call as also a dimensionless. Okay. For instance, if you carry out for a physical test in your lab, okay, so definitely you have a um, uh, certain range of limitation. Okay, for example, for this is 5 meter and this 6 meter. Okay, by introducing this kind of dimensionless, so any other researcher, okay, if he deal with a different size of what we call a chamber, okay, for example, he used 12, then the value is the value is 6 as okay. So he can verify his result, okay, by using this dimensionless chart, okay. For example, if we want to define what is the D over H, so 12 divide, for example, this is just a simple 6 become 2. So he can use this 2, okay, to refer what is the stability number, okay, for his uh, problems. Okay. During when you propose this kind of, for example, any dimensionless relationship, so your size is smaller compared to the other researcher. However, this researcher can make use of your dimensionless equation, okay, in to verify his what we call it his finding. Okay, so actually when I did my PhD, okay, I ran for more than 2,000 okay analysis using the numerical tools, okay, to come out with a preliminary design chart. Okay, okay. Why I need to have this kind of analysis? Okay, okay. For example, when you carry out for a very limited uh, uh, physical test, okay, you need to make sure that your result is beneficial to the knowledge, okay, or to the application. Okay, so then you may verify your result using the numerical tools, okay, and later on you may use the numerical tool, okay, to prepare or to propose for any preliminary design chart, okay, which is related to your problems. For example, for my case on the deep missing method, and then this preliminary chart can be used by the contractor or by the designer, okay, when they want to have a very quick judgment, okay, on what will be the strength, what will be the bearing capacity, okay, from for his particular site, okay, and then for have to have a thorough to have a very accurate result, so he or the designer can run for the full numerical modeling test. Okay, so that is the idea of this dimensionless approach. Okay, so then we move for the another example, okay, on the four cone method. Okay, so this is a method that been proposed by the Oxford, okay, scholar, which is named as a Rowe and Wood and Rowe. Okay, actually, I'm using this approach when I did my master project. Okay, I'm not did my master by research. Okay, master I did under master by top course. Okay, so this method is used to determine, okay, the ungrain strength in the laboratory by using the four-cone approach. Okay, so first we need to identify what is the main parameter. Okay, so then we have a mass of the four-cone. Okay, then we need to convert the mass to weight. Okay, because we want to get the force. So M times G will become the width. Okay. Then we have alpha, which is the angle of the cone. Okay. Normally for the liquid limit value, we use the cone angle of 60 with the mass of 80 gram. Okay. So then to determine the strength of the soil, okay, the strength we consider as the Cu, okay, and during the penetration, when we release the cone, so we obtain the penetration depth, okay. Normally for the liquid limit, okay, I hope you still remember when you did in your degree, okay, the liquid limit penetration depth is equivalent to 20 mm, okay. So then we identify four main parameter. Okay, for each main parameter, we need to derive the primary dimension. Okay, the first one is D, is the geometry, is equal to L, W is equal to force, Cu is equal to Fl power by -2, and alpha is a dimensionless because it is an angle. So then 4 minus with 2, so we need to derive two-dimensional equation where alpha is already dimensionless. Okay, then we need to make use all of these three. Okay, so then Cu times d square over W is the second or the last dimensionless equation. Okay. So this equation has been used by Wood and Rowe, okay, to study on the undrained shear strength of the soil and also to propose what we call as a new method, okay, to overcome the method of the treat roll to determine the plastic limit. Okay, so if you want to gain more information, so you need to explore on the Wood and Rowe paper. Okay, so the next example is on the bearing capacity. Okay, so the PU is the what we call is the output. Okay, this is the load. Okay, so load, so we consider as a force. Okay, so then we have 6 input L, B, D, CO, P, and also the unit weight. So in total we have 7 parameter. Okay, so from these 7 parameter we derive the what we call as the primary dimension. Later on, the number of the primary dimension is 2. Okay, so we need to derive 5 dimensionless equation. Okay, so then phi is the first one, and the rest we may derive from the other remaining parameter. Okay, when we look on this derivation, okay, we found that most of the what we call it of the equation has the B value. Okay, okay, it has B. Okay, means that the author are more interested to study on the effect of the B. Okay. So it depends on what is your intention. Okay. If you want to look on the D, okay, so you can have a lot of D in your equation. Okay. Or if you want to look on the C, okay, so you need to have a lot of C. But it depends on what intention and what also the gaps of the knowledge that has not been covered by the previous researcher. Okay. For my case, I'm carry out for a floating type of what we call, okay, what does it mean floating? Okay, for example, this is the soil ground. Okay, so this is the the deep mixing method. So this is the hard layer. So this is considered as a floating. Okay, less study has been carried out on the floating type. Okay. Previously, most of the study is study on the end bearing, which is the bottom touch the hard layer. Okay. So from this limitation, so I carry out for the several study, and then I also use the approach of the dimensionless equation. Okay. So you need to refer to the previous journal or article, and then you may come up with your own what we call as your own idea by using this dimensionless equation or approach. Okay. So then the last one is on the vertical cut, the same approach, okay, where the vertical cut is to identify what will be the factor safety as the output. Then we have the parameter here, alpha, gamma, Cu, and H. So the total is 5. Then the derivation from the primary dimension, the total is 2. And the last one, the number of the dimensionless equation should be 3. Okay. So Fs alpha is a dimensionless. So the rest we may derive the last dimensionless equation. Okay. So that is the function or the purpose of the dimensionless equation. Okay. It may help for the researcher, okay, to identify what is the important parameter, and also the researcher can focus for only the uh, the important parameter that has not been investigated before. Okay. Okay. Any question on this dimensionless equation? I guess except for the construction management student, um, the other student can use this approach in your study. Okay. Okay, if not, we may continue for the next topics. Okay, the hypothesis. Okay, we try to finish at 12. Sorry, I said that we have only 2 hours because I guess I could not finish this topic in 2 hours. All these slide in 2 hours. Okay. Okay. So then we move to the hypothesis. Okay. Although the hypothesis has not been you no need to prepare for your in your thesis, but at least you know how to use the hypothesis. Okay. This hypothesis is a predictive statement that relates an independent variable to a dependent variable. Okay. So normally for the hypothesis, when you want to apply for any grant, okay, after you complete your study and then you work as a lecturer, then you want to apply for international grant. So you need to include the hypothesis, okay? Because most probably the evaluator for the grant is not the same background with you. Okay, so at least he know when he read the hypothesis part. Okay. Hypothesis must contain at least one independent variable and one dependent variable. Okay, so that is at least. Hypotheses are tentative, intelligent guess as to the solution of the problems. Okay, so that is you do some guessing. Okay, but you need to rely on the fundamental knowledge. Okay. Hypothesis specific statement of prediction. It describes in concrete terms what you expect to happen in the study. Hypothesis assumption about the population of the study. It delimitates the area of research and keep the researcher on the right track. Okay. Hypothesis is an assumption that can be tested and can be proved to be right or wrong. A problem is a broad question which cannot be directly tested. A problem can be scientifically investigated after converted into a form of hypothesis. Okay. Okay, so that is the big difference between problem and hypothesis. So hypothesis has some element of knowledge there. Okay, when on how you want to solve the problem or what is your guess and the output of the problems. Okay. So characteristic of the hypothesis, conceptual clarity, it should be clear and precise. Specificity, it should be specific and limited in scope. Consistency, it should be consistent with the objective of research. Testability, it should be capable of being tested. Expectancy, okay, it should be state the expected relationship between the variable. Okay. Simplicity, it should be stated as far as possible in simple terms. Okay, objectivity, it should be not include value, judgment, relative term, or any moral preaching. Okay. So this is some of the characteristics of the hypothesis. Okay, theoretically relevant. Okay, this is most important. It should be consistent with the substantial body of established or known fact of existing theory. So you cannot just simply create your own hypothesis without refer to the theoretical idea of knowledge. Okay. For example, the simple one, okay, when we increase the amount of the stabilization agent, okay, we may increase the height or the strength of the soil. Sorry, I got a call, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, because somebody has come to my rooms. Okay. And then I also received a call. Okay, it's very important for me to answer. Okay. So then, theoretical availability of techniques. Okay. Statistical method should be available for testing the proposed hypothesis. Okay. So, because my study is not related to any not use any statistical methods. Okay, just to derive for simple relationship, but I also need to test on the R square, okay, value, okay, to see the agreement between both both parameter, okay. So not a very deep statistical analysis that I'm used for my study. Okay, so if you want to use any statistical approach, okay, so you need to uh, try to learn it. Okay, there is a lot of statistical approach that you can use, okay, to determine the agreement of your parameter, is it well or not. Okay. Okay. So discuss source of the hypothesis, discussion with colleague. Okay, examination of data and record for possible trends. Okay, review of similar study, exploratory, personal investigation, logical deduction from the existing theory, continuity of research. Okay, intuition and personal experience. Okay, so this is an example of the source of the hypothesis. Okay, type of hypothesis. Okay, descriptive hypothesis. Then we have a relational hypothesis. Yeah, I need to be fast. Okay, causal hypothesis, null hypothesis. Okay, alternate hypothesis. Okay, hope you can read. Okay, later on. Okay, form of relationship. Okay, so once you carry out for your testing or for your, then you have a data. Okay, so you need to come up with your analysis. Okay, and then explain. Okay, what is the relationship that you have gained. Okay, is it a non-directional or directional? Okay. Is it linear or non-linear? Okay. So then you need to explain, not just put the graph and then without further explanation. Okay. So if x change, okay, increase or decrease, then y will be increase or decrease. Okay. So that's example words that you can use. Okay. If x increase, y increase, a positive relationship. Okay. So there will be another negative or inverse. Okay. And might be there are no relationship uh, between A and Y. Okay. So there is a relationship between X and Y, non-causal correlation statement. Okay. So this is the example. Okay. It doesn't have any relation. Okay. So this is some example of a positive relation. Okay. And this is example of negative correlation. Okay. So function of a rule of hypothesis, it gives a definite points to the investigation and provide direction to the study. It determines the data needs. It specifies the source of data. It suggests which type of research is likely to be more appropriate. Okay. It determines the most appropriate techniques of analysis. It contributes to the development of theory. Okay. So this is the function of the hypothesis. Okay. But the hypothesis is on it is at the early stage. Yeah? So once you have carried out your study, okay, you may know what is the result. Okay, so then you may compare with your hypothesis. Okay, might be your hypothesis is wrong, okay, or might be your hypothesis is true. Okay. So the hypothesis is only at the first stage. Okay. Major stage of the work for conducting research, researcher investigator goes through four major stages of work: preparing, proposal, organizing, conducting research, writing a research report, evaluating research. Okay. So preparing a research proposal, describe why of research, what. Okay, so your stage now is preparing your research proposal. Okay. So for my uh yeah for my what we call for my way, okay, actually before I appoint for any student, I make sure that I have a proposal, okay, or at least I have a grant. Okay. So because yeah, if the student is self-dependent, okay, so I will offer for a grant, for allowance for him. Okay. So mean that to be on the safe side, okay, he know actually I will guide him based on my proposal. Okay. So at the early stage of his or at the first semester of his study, so he or she already know what want to what is the project that he will uh, carry out for his study. Okay. Okay, so I will try to get all the material, get all the equipment. Okay. So the next is for him to explore. Okay. So that's my way. Okay. So means that for the first semester, he need to carry out for the feasible test. Okay. So either this method is feasible or not. Okay. Then he may identify at the very first stage, okay, of his proposal, of his study. Okay. I didn't want for him to explore, okay, for the first and second semester without knowing what he want to do. So it will be make a problem for him for the next following semester. Okay. So if you doesn't have any topic yet, so you need to do you need to have to prepare for your proposal. Okay. Describe why, what, okay, and how to carry out for the study. Okay. So organizing and conducting research, researcher conduct research following methodology plan. Okay, make small deviation if necessary later on. Okay. So most probably, yeah, normally at the first stage, so you are very ambitious to carry out a lot of study. Okay, when it comes to the third or fourth semester, okay, so you, yeah, because of the times and the energy, okay, most probably you will reduce the number of the testing. But for me, the rule of thumb for for the PhD program, so you need to have a 1 year of main testing, as I told you before. Okay. Writing research report, researcher write report which outline the finding of study and its implication. Okay. Normally when it comes to the writing stage, okay, you need to come up with your own outline. Okay. Without any any explanation in detail. Okay. And then discuss with your supervisor. Okay. So this is my outline. Okay. Chapter 1, what will be this section and subsection. Chapter 2, okay, what will be the subtopic and topic. Chapter 3 and 4, chapter 4 and 5. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Traditionally, we use chapter 1 until chapter 5, which is chapter 1 introduction, chapter 2 literature review, chapter 3 methodology, chapter 4 result and analysis, chapter 5 is conclusion. Okay. When I has been appointed as a external examiner from one of the university, okay, which is a Monash University, but located in Kuala Lumpur. Okay. This student has published 6 impact factor journal. Okay, and then his thesis has been prepared in line with the number of the publication that he has published. Okay, for example, chapter 1 is introduction. Chapter 2, okay, he put his review article. Okay, chapter 3, some of his result. Okay, chapter 4, okay, another result, until he includes all the 6 paper in his thesis. Okay, so it will be easy for me, okay, because most of the paper are published in very good journal. So I assume that it has been reviewed by a very prominent scholar. So I could not do any comment on the paper because it's already been published. So that will be a great advantage if you publish and prepare for your thesis based on the journal journal thesis report. Okay, but that is my first time when I been invited as the external examiner. Okay, but the rest refer to the traditional or the common type of thesis right out. Okay, okay. So evaluating research, okay, in order to find any gap of study, there will be assessment at the end of the study, which is the oral examination. Okay. So normally, if you can submit within 3 years, so that will be fine. Okay, but make sure that on the first semester you have start your research or your testing. Okay? Because when I did my PhD for the first 1 year, so I need to spend a lot of time to identify what is the problem, do a thorough revision. Yeah, at the same time, I also do the physical testing. Yeah. So a little bit late. So that's why I complete within 4 years. Okay. But if you start at the first semester, okay, then hopefully you can finish by within 3 years. Okay. Okay, for my style of supervision, okay, we have a weekly meeting. Okay, so the meeting is very important for you as well. So you need to have a regular meeting with your supervisor. Okay, so capability requirement, selecting and defining research problem, describing methodology of research, collecting data, analyzing data, interpreting the result. Okay, I guess in UTM we have a very good research laboratory facilities. Okay, so but there are some difficulties, especially when we need to queue to use the equipment. Okay, okay, so that's why we need to identify what is the main testing, okay, and what will be the supplement testing for the research. Okay. So carry out the review, selected the problem, make thorough diagnosis to specify problem, research question or hypothesis. Okay. So select appropriate research design, select subject on whom the study has to be conducted, select or develop instrument for measuring variable in study. Explain in the flow chart method. Okay, this is for the methodology part. Okay. Data collection, develop capability of administering instrument, recording data, scoring, and tabulating for analysis. Okay, so you need to able to have this kind of capability. Okay, you may rely on the what we call on the technician, the lab technician. Okay, but you need to know. Okay, um, uh, on how to operate the equipment with the help of the technician. Okay, because you need to put in your thesis on the methodology. Okay, especially on the calibration part, you need to have a good calibration device, calibrated device. Okay. Analyzing data and implementation of result, acquire capability of selecting and applying appropriate statistical method for handling analyzing the collected data so as to arrive at valid conclusion. So it depends whatever tools that you want to use, okay, especially when you want to analyze the result. Okay. So actually the data, whatever data you obtain, it rely on the method that you use. Okay. So the methodology should be follow the standard method, or you may follow for any other previous researcher. Okay. So normally when the examiner read your methodology part, and then he is happy with the how you describe, and then there will be no problem on the result. Okay. So if there are some flaw on your methodology part, so there will be a big issue on the what we call on the data result. Okay. So you can read this one, criteria of good researcher. Quality of good researchers. Okay. Need for research. Okay. Explore. Problem in research not similar to sign uncontrollable variable. Okay. So that is the problem, which is we could not control the variable. So that's why we need to have this kind of uh, dimensionless or Buckingham Pi theorems. Okay. So that will be the error, human tendency, time and money. Okay. So that's why for my style, so I need to, yeah, at least I need to make sure that I have a equipment and material. Okay. So I need to have some grant, okay, to provide this kind of equipment and material to my student. Okay. However, some of the grant are not allowed for me to provide an allowance to the international. So there's some restriction on the grant itself. Okay, so it's only could provide allowance to the local student. Okay, however, for in terms of equipment, material, testing, okay, let's say he want to submit to any labs outside, so I have some allocation for that purpose. For example, for the conference, okay, because you need to publish or to present your work at least two conference. There is a regulation from the postgraduate office. Okay, for the PhD at least two, for the master at least one. Okay, lack of compensation, lack of scientific. Okay, so this is the research process. I have explained before. Okay. What is the problem? The third problem is that question or issue to be examined. Okay, so research problem refer to some difficulty needs which a researcher experience in the context of either theoretical or practical situation and want to obtain a solution for the same. Okay, so you need to address the problems and then you want to solve the problem. Okay, so normally in chapter 1 you should address you should have some you should have one section on the research problems. Okay, how do we know we have a research problem? Okay, so this is uh, how we gain the research problem. Normally from the literature. Okay, so this is more related to business. Okay, normally from the literature. Okay, relevant reading or published material. Okay, so that is the way that we can get the research problem. Okay, uh, or based on your experience, you want to solve any problem in your local area. Okay, for example, when I was in UK, okay, there are yeah, one of my colleague, okay, he want to solve the problem in Indonesia. Okay, so he create a problem. He create a research problem which is related to his local area. Okay. Okay, source of problem, reading, academic experience, daily. Okay, so this is source of problem. Okay, criteria of selection. This is interest, external criteria factor. Okay. The definition of formulation of research problem, formulation process of refining the research idea into research question and objective. Formulation means translating and transforming the selected research problem topic idea into a scientifically researchable question. Problem definition problem is a clear, precise uh, statement of the question or issue that is to be investigated with the goal of finding an answer or solution. Okay. Process involve defining problem, statement, surveying, developing idea, rephrasing the research problem. Okay. Okay. So you can read this one. Okay. Okay. I guess that's all for this morning session. Okay. So then we may continue on the part 2. Okay. During the afternoon session. So the class will be start at 2:30. Okay. So with that, I end my lecture for this morning session. So we meet at the afternoon session on at 2:30. So please sign for the attendance. Okay? And then I will give another attendance, the afternoon attendance during the next class, during the afternoon class. Okay. Okay, so that's all for this morning session. Okay, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon.
Doktor.
Yeah.